Hello, you're watching Tulips, so today I'm doing something I've literally never done. And I guess every video isn't a new video, but I've never done this. I've never reviewed a Cassandra Clare book because you don't need to review them. They're perfect. I just have so many feelings about this. I just want to be cool and I want to tell you the feelings. So this video is all spoilers. All spoilers, all the time. All spoilers. Oh, I read this old feller. I'm really not going to go through everything. There's so many things that happen in this. There's literally a trillion other reviews you can watch and they will go through every single thing in this book, I promise. But I will not. It's so long. It's so long. My favorite thing about the Dark Artifices is Emma Carstairs, and she is in this book, and I love that. But you know what is not in this book? Julian Blackthorne. He's gone. He's literally gone. And you know why? Because Magnus puts a spell on him that is totally consensual, but just not a good idea. And he's not himself in this book. And it's been a while since I read about Emma and Julian. I really needed a refresher of their relationship, and we only got a little bit of that before, boom, he's gone. He's like a robot, and I don't like it. Julian felt like when Jace was under the control of Sebastian in the second half of the series, it felt like the exact same situation, but with different magic. So I felt like I'd already experienced this. Wasn't really a fan. Without Julian, Emma's not really the same character, because what I really liked about Emma is how they clash and how they work together at the same time. It was like hard. So all of their chemistry and their entire relationship is gone. I would say for about half the book or more, probably more. And everything else felt so much dimmer and not interesting when I didn't have that to look forward to. I didn't really feel motivated or excited for them to get together or for them to solve these problems, which were just absolutely impossible. And everything seemed so impossible and they could never be together and they're parabatai, and I don't know, I wasn't excited about it. I was just like, it's not gonna work out. I've spent like 3 years trying to figure this out. So the kind of secondary plot line when it comes to love is Christina, Mark, and Kieran. Unfortunately, I really have no interest in them. After I read the first book, I really liked Mark and Kieran, and I liked that Christina was kind of like sassy in her own person and like Diego's ex, but she also liked Mark. And then it got more complicated in Lord of Shadows, and I was like, is this really gonna happen? And once we got to this book, it was really going to happen. And I've never read Poly books. Polyamorous relationships is what I'm referring to. And it wasn't like multiple relationships, it was like one relationship with the three of them. Like, I felt like it would have been like more logical if Christina was with Mark and Mark was with Kieran at the same time. I feel like that would have made more sense. I didn't really see it between Kieran and Christina. It felt like very forced. I really wanted it to work. There was definitely potential for the three of them, but not like this. Not like all of us together at the same time hugging each other. I really would have liked to see Mark in multiple relationships, because I think that's the kind of poly that I wanted to read about, but you know, I'm just me and like, who cares? And so I feel like it's kind of like stuck up to be like, this is what it should be. That's how I saw it, like naturally, that's how I envision the characters, and I think there's nothing wrong with seeing more than one person at the same time if everybody's in the same loop and they know what they're doing. I don't know, one thing that's really annoying about the Dark Artifices, since book one, everyone just wants to like kill themselves to save the one that they love. For example, in the first book, they're like, oh my gosh, we're gonna torture, who is it, Kieran? And Mark's like, no, pick me instead. And then Julian's, no, pick me instead. And then Emma's, no, pick me instead. And they all have this like one person that they would like die for. Every single person in this book, like Ty, Drew, Livy, Kit, not Livy, sorry. It's so predictable because every time one person's in danger, you can just feel like all of the strings being pulled in that direction, and it's so ridiculous. And this happens a lot in YA fantasies, like, you know, like the couple will like do anything for each other, but it's just so complicated, and there's just so many ties in this that it gets ridiculous. Oh, Emma and Julian are going to go into Fairy. Like, oh my gosh, no, they're going to get lost. Like, we have to send Mark, Kieran, and Christina after them, and then like the three of them can't be separated and they all have to rescue them. And it's like, oh no, Mark, Christina, and Kieran went into Fairy, we have to send someone in to rescue them. And there's like so many groups going into Fairy that it just got so ridiculous. Mark literally drank a random potion and then he like got so out of it, like drinking some magic. Like, that idiot. Like, we've been reading that since like book 1, like when Simon turned into a rat, and I'm so tired of it. Like, it was so dumb, and he's literally lived in fairy. He's half fairy. Like, I don't want that to happen again. And they get separated so easily, and everything just goes wrong. They're supposed to be like shadow hunters, and they're supposed to be so smart and so well trained, and just like for once, I want to see them successfully complete something, because they're always like doing something completely wrong, and then it's like the worst case scenario. I felt like, and I'm just gonna say it, I felt like everyone in this book was so goddamn horny. It got so ridiculous. And maybe this is like a me getting older thing, and I'm not even older, like I'm 19, okay? And they're just all over each other all the time. Emma and Julian, I think, are pretty okay, and I kind of see that they have like a very intense chemistry. They can't be together. Christina just kept jumping on Mark and Kieran, and I don't want to shame her. Like, I think that's beautiful, and I love that Christina goes after what she wants. I can't stress that enough. Every time that she was alone with somebody, she would end up making out with them until they were interrupted. I would have liked to see her as less of a romantic partner in this book, because that's the only way we see pretty much Christina, Mark, and Kieran are as romantic partners. Also, everyone in this book was so sad, and the entire Shadowhunter government is just so horrible, and I'm about to get into that. But there's just so much sadness, and like everything's wrong, and everyone's in danger. And it wasn't in like a City of Heavenly Fire way. Like, it didn't feel like the stakes were very high. I understand the importance of Horus and all that crap. In my opinion, I don't want to read a fantasy book, especially a Cassandra Clare book, where there's a Trump character. I mean, like, I don't know if you're American or not, but like, Horus is like so strongly based on Donald Trump's presidency in the United States, and like even details about like his thin hair and red face, the kind of like build a wall attitude about shadow hunters versus the rest of the world, and they end up isolating Idris in the end. It was too much with the kind of like supernatural enemies that we were facing. You can't have shadow hunters on your side. It's like so hard to get anything done, and I hated it, and it felt just so like current events that it made me so frustrated and upset. What's really cool about Cassandra Clare books is when you get from one point of view to another and you're switching chapters, there's some great cliffhangers, and there's some great surprises. One of the surprises was when they're in Fairy, and then they become captured and they're in a cell, and then Jace and Clary are in the cell next to them. I don't like being disappointed by Jace and Clary. Like, they are my number one. Like, they're my OTP. I saw that coming the whole time, and like honestly the whole time they're in Fairy, like all I was thinking about is like, I want to see Jace and Clary because I love them so much, and Emma and Julian are driving me nuts right now. And then when it happened and that was like a cliffhanger, I was so underwhelmed because I knew it was going to happen the whole time. And I was like, oh, because I felt like that was a moment that I should be like squealing, and like I'd be like, oh my gosh, like they found Jace and Clary, they're alive, because I was so annoyed with everyone else in this book. And then once we got Jace and Clary, it was like, it's a little better. Now we're gonna skip around. Emma and Julian find themselves in Thule, which is like a different universe. In the case that Sebastian won the Mortal War, or is it the Dark War? Sebastian won the Dark War. There's not very many Shadowhunters left. Livy is one of them. Cameron Ashton is one of them. Tessa is the only warlock left in the entire world. Demons are everywhere, blah blah blah. This was like okay for like a hot sec, and then I was like, wait, we're still here. What was interesting, and I don't know if you noticed this, is that we never left Thule. Like, the chapters just kept going, Emma and Julian, Emma and Julian, Emma and Julian, and we didn't really see other characters outside of it, which felt kind of cool and isolated because you didn't really know how much time has passed in the other world or if people were looking for them. Of course, I still have complaints about Thule. People are like, oh, I don't think it was necessary to the book, like blah blah blah. I thought it did bring a lot of drama, and I did really like it, and it was kind of like a what if situation that I didn't hate completely. My complaints are just in the like, oh, what happened to Magnus and Alec, and like they're like, oh, they like Alec killed Magnus and then Alec killed himself. I didn't feel like there was any, like, I can't name one reason for that to be included in the book. That felt very Breaking Dawn Part 2. Stephenie Meyer is like been writing these characters for 10 plus years, and she just wants to like kill them all, and I never thought Cassandra Clare would be like that. Like, Cassie just went through Thule and she cut every single tie, and she just cut everything. And Magnus and Alec, I think I'm okay with because I feel very like a strong connection to them and comfortable with them, and I've been with them for like 10 years. But there are a lot of like young people who are like so connected to Malik, and Malik is like their whole life, that when I read that part, I was not thinking about me. I was thinking about them. I'm like, there are very young Malik stans who are like crying, and their mom's like, what's wrong? And they're like, and Thule, Magnus, and Alec are dead. And there was no point for that, and I felt like that was so heartbreaking, and that was such like a Stephenie Meyer situation where it's like, why did you kill everyone in this alternate scenario? That's just one example. There were other people that were dead, but it wasn't quite the same, and I think Malik has such a strong resonance with the fans that I felt like this was too extreme, and there's very young people reading this, and it's very emotional. And honestly, if it had to do with the plot, I might have excused it, but this is dumb. It was just a dumb thing to do. It was mean. Honestly, the last thing we have to talk about is that how the Parabatai bond breaks. Okay, so I really hated that everyone has like another war by the end, and it's really like a civil war between Shadowhunters. That was just so heartbreaking, because like I felt like when she put this like Trump character into her books, I think everyone was like listening way more closely of how this would unfold, and that it had to end like that, I think is just so horrible. The Shadowhunters had a war just like less than 10 years ago at the end of Heavenly Fire. I think it was just absolutely ridiculous. They all ended up fighting, and then they had that stupid like TV like over the sky, and like everyone was watching Horus like put on this show, and I feel like a lot of the times it was just Cassie like venting about like the current political situation. Like I think it was so uncalled for that it ended in war. Like just because it's a finale book, there shouldn't be fighting. Like we can have peace. Like this is ridiculous, especially between Shadowhunters. It was so heartbreaking, and I think it was just not a good message, and I think it should have been resolved in a different way. And then Emma and Julian become giants, and that felt like really dumb, and I felt like I was reading some like bad prediction fanfic or whatever. It was so weird, and they ended up like picking up people off the ground and killing them and snapping their necks, and that was horrible. And then it kind of gets brushed off in the end, and Jem is like, oh, like they would have died anyway, like there were casualties every war. It wasn't okay, and I didn't like that Emma and Julian were like these monsters, and it felt like a last minute situation to kind of wrap up the war as well as break their bond. I didn't like it. And then they wake up and they're not Parabatai anymore. I mean, I guess we all knew that they would end up being in love and it would be fine, but like I didn't think it'd be like this. I didn't really believe it. I didn't like how like the whole family goes down and they're like trying to talk to them. And they're like, Emma and Julian, like, you need to like stop and like remember who you are. Kieran has to go back to Fairy, and then there's all this drama there, and then they ended up all staying together, which whatever, like I saw that coming. There's this whole subplot of Ty trying to raise Livy from the dead. I really like Kit. He's super cool. Ty, I kind of understand where he's coming from. There's so much grief going on. The whole thing with Kit was kind of funny because I felt like we've all been Kit in a situation where like your friend's doing something that they're not supposed to do, and you kind of like just don't want to speak up to them or like stand up to them. So that was kind of funny and relatable. I like that. Drew is a really cool character. I'm interested in her. I love Diego and Jamie. It felt kind of ridiculous when we kept seeing all these TMI characters, and like I get it that they're a part of the Shadowhunter world and they're like prominent people. But okay, I did not believe for 1 second that Alec Light would be Inquisitor. He's still so young. I felt like there were just so many other candidates and it didn't have to be Alec. I don't know. And then at the end when like he had to decide, like they said they would all kill themselves if like, what was it, if they broke the cold peace or something that Alec was going to do, or if he became Inquisitor. And then he decided that everyone would leave Idris, and that was just so sad and dramatic. And like I said, like I felt like there was such a parallel to current events and politics that I really wanted this to like have an optimistic ending, but it did not have anywhere near that. But anyways, that's really how I felt about this book. I'm sorry because my first Cassandra Clare book is like totally negative. I was, you know, so happy to get my hands on it. I felt like it made sense coming from Lord of Shadows, which ended up being so dark and heartbreaking, to kind of like push through, and like this ended up happening. I think it just deserved more happiness and less frustration and dumb things and sad and horny teenagers. Those are my thoughts, and I can't not share them. So here's the video that I made. So I hope you liked it, maybe related to 1 or 2 things. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I love you. Bye!